Well, welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. Today, I'm sitting down with Andrew Spalter, who is the founder and the CEO of East Goes Global. So, Andrew, first off, thank you for being here. I'm excited to sit down and have some conversation about business, about entrepreneurship, about this crazy journey that many of us go through in life, and just excited to have some conversation. So, thanks so much for being here. Let's start with just a little bit of background.
Thanks,
Tell us
Tanner.
kind of 10,000 foot view. Who is Andrew Spalter and what is East Goes Global?
Well, that's a great question. I ask myself that every day. And no, I mean, I from Scottsdale, Arizona originally, lived out in LA for 8 years. My wife and I, we just moved to Austin, Texas, 10 months ago now. So we're coming up on a year, which is super exciting. Um, what can I say? We're super happy to be here. We're super happy to be in Texas. We're super happy to be on Central Time. We have a couple hours every morning that we get just ourselves before our teams in Los Angeles start waking up. So that's nice because we like to be active and it's sunny, so when it's good weather and weather's permitting, it's great. But yeah, that's my morning. The day to day about me is I run a business called East Coast Global, like you said, and where our mission, our purpose is to help bring Western businesses into China. So what a lot of people seemingly, I would assume a lot of people don't know is that in China, you don't have, as a general consumer who's living in China on a Chinese phone plan or a Apple ID or this, that, the other, you don't have access to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, YouTube, Spotify, Netflix, any of the platforms that we're so accustomed to here. And what throws people for a loop, as well as even a platform like TikTok, which, gets a lot of heat for being Chinese owned, this, that, the other. Even TikTok is not available in China. Instead, their sister company Douyin is. Same interface, same actions, you know, similar trends, things like that. Still takes place over there, but two totally separate platforms. And so what we do is we have a three-pillar business. We start by highlighting the understanding of the market, teaching you about it, where we think you should prioritize your time, your efforts, your energy, your team, where we think you'll succeed. We act as a marketing team, a social agency to actually manage those platforms for you. And then after that, we take it a step further and sell through social commerce. So the channels that we're operating, some of them have social commerce functionality, and we look to leverage that as well, almost as a distribution partner instead of the traditional licensing or wholesale distribution. We want you to actually like own your brand in China as opposed to someone else. So we just operate as a distributor in that sense. But that's our business in a nutshell.
I love it. That's fantastic. I'm excited to kind of dive into
Thanks.
that a little bit deeper as we get into it here. But before we do, I always like to just kind of set the stage for the other entrepreneurs, business owners that are watching this
Yeah.
later on. We've had the opportunity to chat with literally hundreds of businesses, various levels of growth cycles, to types of businesses, to all of that kind of stuff. So I always like to set the stage with this very simple question of like, what is your general ownership structure look like? Now, let me kind of give some context around
Yeah.
this. More so, like sole founder. Do you have business partners? Have you taken on like outside investment? Have like a board to report to? Kind
Yeah.
of what does that generally look like for your business?
Great question. When I started the business 6 years ago, it was bootstrapped to a T. When you're running like a social agency, all you need is a laptop, if that. Some people just need phones or iPads and tablets and whatnot. But it really was just me, myself, and I, my laptop, the apartment I was renting in Los Angeles, and that was it. But over the past 5 years, 6 years, I've thought, okay, how do we scale this? How can we drive this business forward? What do we need to do so? And I did take in on outside investment. It still is me as just as the sole owner. With that said, but as far as outside investors, we raised for about 8-9% of the company,
Hmm.
and we raised close to $1 million and a 9 million pre 10 post Series Seed. People who got in were um, family, friends, is private round, only people that we reach out to, clients, colleagues. So most notably, we do have a few of our clients that are on the cap table, including Jesse J and Fletcher and Ingrid Andress, and Jesse Reyes. a few, big time music managers and people that are high up in that industry, um, that are also sitting on the cap table with people like my dad and and a few other people that's close to home. So it's exciting. That was in August of last year, and today we are still just, outside of that investment, just still going on as we have. Luckily, we have no more burn. We built the tech that we wanted to build, which was nice, which we're using as an internal tool today. But think definitely next year, this time next year, we will have it be operating as a enterprise API solution. Um, but yeah, that's the structure of the business now.
I love it. I love it. That is fantastic. It's some really good context because I think as we go through the conversation,
Thanks.
having just a little bit of that context allows kind of connectivity between answers, things like that. So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit more about your role within the business. So starting 6 years ago with a laptop and an apartment, that sort of thing. How has your role shifted over the years, or has it shifted, or
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll start with that, and then I can kind of dive in a little bit deeper. But what is your role in the business today versus what it was when it started?
That's a good question. I mean, look, I think someone told me this once. I think I was, I was either sitting next to someone on an airplane or just in a coffee meeting or something, but it was like a random type of occurrence. And I'm sitting with this guy, and he goes, my goal is to continue to work on my business, not in it. And when you put the words on and in a business together, and what that looks like when you're working in a business, you're working on the day to day, the minutia, the how do we get from point A to point B, not A to Z, right? And when you're working on the business, you're thinking about the high level, the 10,000 foot view, things like that. So I think nowadays, and granted, I'm married, we have a house, 30 years old, like doing all these things that are like, okay, definitely not slowing down by any means, but definitely coming into my own of how I want to live my life on a day to day basis. Um, so always touching base with the team, always on Slack, and available and on emails. But I think where things have definitely started to slow down for me in particular are the calls and the intro calls. And, maybe we can make something work and maybe this will make sense and maybe there's synergies. Today, now more than ever, it's let's hop on a call if it makes sense. Let's get a coffee if it makes sense. Do this. Let's make sure that every interview, every meeting, everything is very, very, very intentional with what not only I want to do, and then go to bed at the end of the day and feel accomplished, but also for the person on the other end of it, it's like, I don't want to waste anyone's time, right? So in our pitches, when we pitch client, and we have a sales arm, and my brother runs sales for our whole business, which is super exciting. But, you know, when we're pitching to these people, it's like, do you want to work China or not? And if the answer is, I don't know, then it's not going to be a right fit, but it might be in 2 years from
I love that.
now.
So
Yeah,
let's dive a little bit into the business then. You've given us
cool.
a really good context of it, but I always like to just start with who primarily does your business serve? And I like to frame it up with, if I'm sitting in the audience and I'm watching
Yeah.
this later on, how do I know that I'd be a really good fit, or I'd be running a business that would be a good fit to have a conversation with you, or I might know, somebody down the street that I can refer over to you just to have that initial conversation.
That's a great question, Tanner. And I say this all the time. If we knew the exact answer to that, I think we'd be a lot more successful than we are because it would make pitching a lot easier. Um, but it really is not, one size does not fit all here. China, like any other territory, is super unique in not only in sheer numbers, 1.5 billion people, but of those 1.5 billion people, who's going to like the brand of headphones that you're wearing, and who's going to like the microphone, and who's going to use it, and who's going to want it. And so we really take such a holistic approach to this. It's number one, the clients that we look for are ones that are listening to this, that you have in your mind, that are going, I don't work this market like that. Our Shopify store isn't even set up to ship there. Or we manufacture things there, but we ship it to our fulfillment center in the States. Like no one's has ever made us think about this market. And I think a lot of the time, because frankly, it's just so out of sight, out of mind, so far away and across, especially if you're not getting a DM from a Chinese consumer in China going, hey, I'd like to buy this product because people in China don't have access to Instagram, or TikTok or what have you. But at the end of the day, it's a combination of, number one, you have to want to genuinely work the market, regardless of whatever brand it is. Number two, whether it's a personality, a sports team. I mean, we represent everyone from Will Smith to the Chainsmokers to the Phoenix Suns to the Philadelphia 76ers. Like, we do all of their marketing over in China and content curation and this, that, the other. And, for us, it really is us understanding who wants to work that market. We do a deep dive into if it's even worth it for them. Because sometimes, and most often, it's not yet. And we say yet because there could be a time where Chinese consumers love a certain product or love this personality or love this team or love this person or love X, Y, and Z. And for us, it really is one of those things that needs to make sense across the board and resonate well with the Chinese audience in consumer market. I hope the next time we chat, I'm like, hey, I figured it out. I figured the solution. But like I said, not one size fits all.
I like it. And I imagine that
Yeah.
this conversation in general will at least spark a thought for other business owners out there that maybe hadn't thought about tapping into the China market.
Yeah.
For those that are they're not quite there yet, they're not ready to they hadn't even really entertained the thought yet. What what comments or what thoughts would you give them as they're maybe considering going into this market where it wasn't even on their radar beforehand?
I think to I think to start is just to understand that the overall China business within their own business, right? Do you have this as a shipping option? If you were a Chinese consumer, what are those shipping costs? Because sometimes it's 3x the price of the product that you're trying to sell. If you are an individual and you want to get your brand out there, your business, etc., is it something you're willing to pay for? Like, if you've never hired a local marketing team to handle your local support across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, are you going to want to pay, just as much money to grow in China? And I think, once you understand, if you're manufacturing in China and shipping to fulfillment center in the States, there's a lot of things that we look for as a business. But at the end of the day, I always tell people, please do reach out to our team. Like, we have a very robust sales arm. You could find our info on our website, just eastcoastglobal.com. And you scroll down to our email, ni hao, which is just hi at eastcoastglobal.com. And reach out and, we'll be very forward with you and say, hey, we do see opportunity for you in China. We don't. If we do, this is what it looks like, so on and so forth.
I like it. When I imagine there's at least some competitors in your industry that you go up against when it comes to the types of services that you provide. Um, why do your current customers choose you over the
Yeah.
potential competitors out there?
Love that question. Over the past 6 years, there have been a handful of companies. Over the past 10 years, since digital has become a thing, there definitely have been competitors over the last six in particular since we've been in business. Not many, when you type in Chinese social media, social commerce, marketing firm, not many of us that pop up. We all know of each other, which is the cool thing. And we've all lasted this long, which is really great. Some of us have been acquired, others have been around a lot longer than we have. And others are also so set in, their clientele, their roster. It's just sports for this company. It's just brands for this company. Whereas we were one of the first teams to go, well, everyone's trying to sell something, whether you're an artist and an actor, a sports team, you're all, there's a North Star for everyone. As long as we can help someone get there, that's what our, motto is. And it's the blanketed statement. We help Western businesses in China. So we don't want to sell anyone short with what we do. But with that said, the biggest differentiator to us is that we are an anomaly, right? Like, here I am on this call as the CEO and founder of a business that helps Western businesses enter the China. I live in Austin, Texas. We have a few people in New York. We have someone in Europe. We have 12 people in Los Angeles. We have a handful of people, a lot of people now in China. Um, But if you're a client, Tanner, and you're calling us and you're going, hey guys, what's going on with this? I want to update you on this. We're having a call whenever you want, 8, 9, 10, 11 a.m., throughout the day, versus having a project manager that you can only access 1 to 2 hours a day at the end of your working day or at the very beginning when they're waking up in China. So it's a long-winded way of saying a majority of the team who you're interacting with as a client is stateside. They are native Chinese, sure, from the market, born in the market, so on and so forth. But you are connecting with someone who's here.
Very cool. I love that.
Yeah,
This is a great transition to talk a little bit about marketing, and it's one of those areas that I feel like I just have to ask questions on because there's so many business owners
yeah.
and entrepreneurs out there that um, know that marketing is a really key component when it comes to business, but it's not always the easiest one to tackle.
Yeah,
So I always like to ask some questions, find out what's worked, what hasn't worked in various industries, things like that. But what has been y'all's philosophy to getting the word out there about what you do and going after the clients that you know are a really good fit to be working with?
I think it's just success at the end of the day. If I'm being totally honest, we even if you're not working with our team and you're working with another team, like I said, there's so few of us that do what we do. But if you're bringing in people in house to do what we do, if you're doing it with another team, and we see success, we want to use that as a case. We want Western teams to succeed in China because then that just means there's more opportunity for us to do business with a similar team, a team that followed that strategy. And I think, to sum it up, it really is like we want across the board. It doesn't matter if you're with a different agency, like we want people to win because it's such a it's such a, pigeonholed gray space type of market historically. And for us to come in is this team that goes, well, it doesn't have to be like this. It shouldn't be like this. And that's why we do what we do. So here we are now, 6 years later, trying to get as many wins on the board so that we could prove that concept out to a lot of different teams and members.
Mm, powerful. When you look at your journey, are there any roadblocks or hurdles that kind of stand out in your mind that you've had to overcome on this business journey that has allowed you to get to where you are today?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there might be many, but is there like one or two that kind of stands out that you'd be willing to share a little bit about?
Yeah. I A couple of years ago we did a live stream. Sorry, my wife is just this is the crooks and crannies of working from home. She's in the background doing a dance, thinking it's the time to do it, and it's funny, and trying to make me laugh. Well, here we are. So, yeah, a couple years ago we did a live stream a live stream concert with the Backstreet Boys. We partnered them up with a huge conglomerate in China called Tencent. They own they're, I mean, massive. They're top five most success, I think, revenue generating companies in the world, actually. And one of their platforms called WeChat, which just so happens to have over 1 billion users. It's like a WhatsApp combined with banking, combined with social, combined with food order. There's so many layers of WeChat. Partnered those two together to host a live stream performance on their platform. We reached 44 million viewers. It was a multi-million-dollar event. The production alone was well into the six figures. It was that was a big moment for me. You as a fan of the band, as a business achievement. It was just awesome. And another really big thing that I'm proud of is like I said at the beginning, I'm from Scottsdale, Arizona. I grew up liking the Phoenix Suns. They're one of our clients now, which is super cool, and we've helped them go from a bottom. There's 30 teams in the NBA, bottom 20, bottom 25 ranked in terms of engagement in China NBA team. Bottom 20, 25 in terms of value in the NBA. Now they're top three, yeah, I believe anywhere from 3 to 5 during any given week, most engaged and also most valuable NBA team in China. So those are hometown heroes. But yeah, every day, I'm proud of something new. And it's not these are all little like notches on the belt. Every little thing is just a little notch to help us grow a bit bigger.
That is fantastic. What do you see
Yeah,
for the next
thanks.
three? What do you see for the next 3 to 5 years? When you look out, kind of
Whew.
start doing some generalized planning, where do you see the business growth in the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see your role within the business? How does that change over the next 3 to 5 years?
If only I knew. You know, I think from the I always like to be like the type of person who what is that goal? And then I'll work backwards to get there. And like every little thing that I do is to slowly get to that point. Um, so it's first and foremost about me, but I think I don't have the exact answer. I don't know, does that look like an acquisition? Does that look like a merge? Does that look like a still just carrying on doing what we're doing, but growing, growing, growing? Yeah, it could be any of those things. I think in terms of uh, business, I definitely, as a team, the agency model is wonderful. It's cool. It pays the bills. It covers our overhead. It pays for the livelihoods of our employees. And it's really cool with what we do and how we're connecting to uh, different worlds together. At the end of the day, what I would love to do is get more into the portfolio type of ownership uh,
Hmm.
with the teams and clients that we work with, owning a piece of, incentivizing us and them to work harder for that market because we all own a piece of it. And whether that's through distribution on sales, whether it's through a licensing deal, what have you, the goal really, really, really is to own a piece of that and to get to a point where we are this portfolio business working with so many different entities, but owning a piece of them in China.
That
Yeah.
is so cool. I like it.
Thanks.
Uh, so
Thanks.
I know we've certainly covered a lot of ground in the conversation. I want to be respectful of the time that we do have. So as we start to wrap
Sure.
up, we've got a few kind of rapid fire questions. Just pull some extra nuggets out for the audience. So I've got 4 of them in total. When you look at your journey so far over the last decade or so, what would you say for you is your key to success?
Uh, Rapid fire, I would say not looking at, like your business and personal life as two totally separate entities or vehicles or what have you, like the work life balance thing. I don't necessarily think it's, a balance. I think it's just how a work life coexist, existation or how could they exist together? We're so everyone, it doesn't matter if you're a 9 to 5 internet clocking in and out. It's like you're on your phone, you have your emails on your phone, you have social media, you follow your coworkers on social media, you're going to dinner and drinks and then the company retreat and corporate events and all that sort of stuff. They are so integrated. And you really, especially over COVID, a lot of people were fortunate enough where they're like, oh wait, I don't have to go to this place from 9 to 5 and sit in a cubicle and do this, and they could experience life elsewhere. And granted, there's people that love that, but I would say in my life personally, and there's 8 billion people on the planet, so I'm not speaking for anyone else, but like for my life personally, it's really having like a great like coexistent relationship between those two things.
I like that. I like it a lot. There,
Yeah,
we talk a lot about the difference between work life balance and work life harmony, and it's exactly what
harmony. It's perfect.
you just described there. Um,
Yeah.
so if you could give just one piece of advice to other entrepreneurs out there, what piece of advice would you want to give them?
Just stay passionate about what you do, because at the end of the day, it's like if when you start a bit, just like you as an entrepreneur and me and millions of others in the world, there's nothing sweeter than like that first client, right? So even if you're like hitting a wall 6 months in, 12 months in, whatever it is, if you get one, you've sought out what you want. You've done what you sought out to do. And if you lose passion towards what you're doing, just take a day, take a week, take a month to like rejigger what that passion is, and how you can get back to that point. Because if you don't have it, it's like, what are you doing every day? So I think it's just you always got to remain passionate and excited about what you're doing.
I like it. What is one
Yeah.
book that you're either currently reading or have read most recently that you'd recommend to the audience?
I am in the mid, or I'm nearly done now with the I always, because it's all digital, I don't remember the titles of the books anymore. It's like you don't actually open the front page of the book. It is the Happiness Store, or the it's I think that's what it's called. They're delivering happiness. It's the story of Zappos.
Okay.
And the creation of that, and that to me is just, every day it's their whole motto was how do we be the best at customer service? How do we be the best?
Mhm.
If one person buys our shoes, how are they going to tell eight people about it because they had such a pleasant experience? And for me, and over the past 3 months, it's definitely been something that we've been trying to do is we're a full service team. How do we be the best at our service? And so that to me is something really good to try and remember. I would say day in and day out, but that's a fun one. Yeah,
I like the recommendation. That's a good one. Uh, Final rapid fire question, and we'll kind of wrap out the conversation here.
sure.
If you had to choose just one area in your business, and you only get to choose one, where you could take a little bit of magic dust and just sprinkle it all over that one spot, and you could wake up tomorrow, it's 10 times better than it was today, where would you choose to put that magic dust?
I would say like cold emails. Can you imagine if every cold email you sent had like, oh my God, this is something that I was looking for, and people were so beyond stoked about it? That would be the coolest
I would love to use that same magic dust on that here. That would be
thing.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah,
So
totally.
before we wrap out with the final question, I like to end all these conversations on. For those that are watching that want to learn a little bit more, that want to have a conversation or connect with you, where can we advise them to go for a little bit more information?
I think two parts. One, if your business, your company, you yourself are looking to see what that looks like in China, please do reach out to us at just eastcoastglobal.com and just find our company email there. Um, Personally, just LinkedIn, just my name, Andrew Spalter. call it, call it a day. I'm always liking to respond to messages there, and connecting with people. But yeah, thanks for having me, Tanner. I appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, I will make sure to put those links in the description below. So as soon as we wrap up here, make sure that you go click the link, go connect with Andrew, and say hi, say saw you on the business spotlight. Make sure you make those connections. But Andrew, if you'll allow, I'm going to finish off with one final question to wrap this
Yeah,
thing out, and that is, what is most inspiring to you today?
was inspired. I think just people that are like 40, 50, 60, 70 that are still 80, 90, 100 on this new show Blue Zones, which talks about centurions all day long. People who are older than I am, well, even at 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, etc., that are just waking up every day stoked and so passionate about what they're doing. You could see it, you could feel it in what their conversations about. Um, that as small as building a garden to running an entire, Fortune 500 company, it's like that passion that person has building the garden is the same passion that person has running that business, and that to me is so special. So just connecting constantly, organically connecting with people that have that same amount of passion.
I love that. Andrew,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time. This has been a awesome
Thanks, Tanner.
conversation. I appreciate you sharing as much as you have. So thank you so much for being here and sharing with us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.